So
What you
confused.
want to know is what fucking ripped my heart out
Yes.
that put me on the path to doing the work that I do today. Is that the question?
Yes.
That is the question. You know, it's funny. So, yes, I'm a relationship coach. I work with couples, I work with men and women, and to help them see the patterns, the dynamics in a relationship that we're all ignorant to. I acknowledge, it's like respecting the right of the masculine to do what it will do, but taking care of yourself in the process. So if your masculine partner is doing something that you don't like that they're doing, it doesn't feel good, communicating, giving the feedback, I don't feel good, and if they're not willing to step up and address it, then you address it by leaving. I'm gonna go. That's your mantra. It's so important that you take care of yourself, especially if your masculine partner is not willing to step up and meet you there. And by the way, I mean, this goes into sexuality also, right? Meeting a woman sexually, feeling her body, not just imagine, most men make love for themselves. Even when it comes to pleasing a woman, it's not about pleasing you, it's about making me look good, right? That's how most men approach sexuality. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I was fucking ignorant my whole life, because no one taught me how to really show up for a woman. And so I got into relationships with women over and over again, and I didn't show up. I'm a good guy, a good person. I think I'm a good listener, like I have good people skills, all of that. I'm a good dude, I got a good heart. Man, my relationships were disastrous. The ones that I chose. Again, the easy relationships, I didn't want those, man. Give me the hard shit. Give me the shit that's gonna break me open. Again, because I needed to learn. But most of our relationship challenges are not therapeutic. Like, we don't need therapy. I have a master's degree in human behavior, and I just instinctively knew I wasn't called to be a therapist. I'm a coach because with a few little shifts in awareness and how we're showing up in this masculine-feminine dance, I noticed a lot of women in here felt really uncomfortable in their bodies. There was, sort of even stillness. I could see that. And I could see a lot of men, kind of silly, smiling, collapsing, going for the hug. Yeah, let's hug. Nothing wrong with any of it. But that shows up in our relationships, and we're deeply dissatisfied often. Because that same lack of center, lack of presence on the masculine counterpart, and even on the feminine, the same kind of shutdown. Really, the relationship that just brought me to my fucking knees was with a Latin woman when I lived in Miami. This was a woman, wow, she was amazing. She was like my fantasy in every way. She was gorgeous, she was funny, she was brilliant, she was witty. She was feminine, she was incredible. I think she was maybe 28 or 29. I was 2 years older than her, so I was probably 30, 31 when we met. And man, that relationship really destroyed me because, again, I just didn't know how to show up for her, and I didn't know how to be a masculine presence for her. I grew up in a world where I was taught that women are strong and can take care of themselves, and that's true. But I made that mean that women are the same as me. Like, women don't need me. Women they're equal, which also means the same. Other than our genitalia, we're the same. And so I oriented towards my girlfriend as though, look, you take care of you and I'll take care of me, and we'll meet in the middle and somehow make magic. And that just didn't work. It's like women want us to be seduced, and then they don't respect us when we allow it. But that's their erotic sort of push and pull of eroticism. We love that. We really love that. We love that we can't figure them out. We love that when we give them what they want, they're not happy. We actually really like that. We don't realize it because it challenges us. It really, the masculine force in us rises to challenge. We want a masculine person wants a woman that he will never be able to figure out. We were masculine and feminine people doing a dance together, right? But I had no awareness of this. So she was yearning for something from me that I didn't know how to give her. You know, I wanted her to be completely self-sufficient. I wanted her to, you know, one of the things that I realized actually is I spent so much time trying to convince her to think a certain way. Okay, so early in our relationship, I lied to her. I told her a lie about an ex-girlfriend that she found out about 4 months later, right? We had been sleeping together. We weren't even dating. We were sleeping together for 2 weeks. And then I went on a business trip to Switzerland. I ended up going on this side trip to France with this woman that I was seeing. She lived in Jakarta, Indonesia. Had kind of a jet-setting lifestyle for a while. And so I had girlfriends kind of around the planet kind of thing. But then I met this girl in Miami, this woman in Miami, this Latin woman that would become the most significant woman of my life. But I wasn't quite out of my jet-setting lifestyle yet. And so I lied to her about that. And she found out a few months later, and that destroyed her. It triggered an old wound of hers. And so, but it happened early enough in the relationship that it wasn't like a betrayal, because we didn't have a commitment at the time. But I still lied. You know, when I came home from this trip, she asked me, were you with anyone when you were in Europe with another woman? And I told her no, and it was a lie. And that was only like 2 weeks after we started being with each other. 4 months later, when we were ready to really be monogamous, she found out that I had been on that trip with this other woman right at the beginning, and I lied to her. And that began our descent into chaos. But by that time, it's like, oh, it was a perfect fucking setup. It's like life engineered this perfectly for me to really learn what I had to learn.
What does she need right now? Right? Because the difference between turning her on and turning her off sexually could be just, you know, the subtlest movement could turn her off. You know, if I touch her wrong and then I'm not responsive, I don't feel her, I'm not even gonna know I hurt her. I'm not even gonna know why she's turned off, and then suddenly she's gonna be really turned off because I'm still doing the thing, and either she's not telling me or I'm just not getting it, and she's not gonna wanna have sex with me pretty quick. And then I'm gonna be upset, and then blame it, oh, you know, you're frigid, or there's a problem with you, or why don't you want sex? And meanwhile, I had no idea how to show up for her. I couldn't feel her. I'm doing the male checkout thing, and I just wanna get laid, I just wanna empty my balls. Right? Did you get that on camera? Good. So, I mean, this is both relational and intimate, and just the relationship dynamic itself, but it's also sexual. I mean, this is also, and it's with the whole world as well. I mean, men are checked out, and I don't mean men, but masculine energy, we're checked out all over the world. It's why our planet, our oceans are filling up with plastic. It's the same phenomenon at play on the world scale as it is in our own bodies.
We ended up staying together for about 5 years altogether, but the whole time was sort of, I call it that original sin, like that lie that I told. And so what I got to experience in that relationship was, and I wasn't really ready to face it, but I got to see my lack of integrity. I got to see, you know, here's this woman, now here's this Latin woman who's raging because she's heartbroken. And she wasn't even dealing with just what I had done. I mean, she had run away she had a previous wound she had been married before, and her husband had cheated on her, and she never dealt with it. And so now she showed up, and now I do this thing that's kind of close to what happened, but not really. But it triggered that sort of abandonment, trust stuff. And I still wasn't mature enough to really be with it and be powerful with it. And you know, I remember, it was chaos, and she would just rage at times because she was in her pain. And I did that thing that most men do when a woman is raging. I go, calm down, calm down, calm down. I'm not going to talk to you when you're angry, when you're upset, which is the exact opposite thing that she's yearning for. She doesn't want me to calm her down, which is another way of saying, look, get smaller, shrink what you're doing, stop expressing so much because I can't handle that. I can't love you in all of that. I can only love you if you kind of shrink yourself, right? I had no idea that that's what I was doing. Rather than she told me one time, she said, Bryan, When I'm angry, all I want is for you to hold me. I thought she was fucking crazy at the time. Hold you? You're asking me to hold an exploding nuclear bomb. That was the story I was living in. You can imagine if that's the story I'm telling, there's no way I'm holding her. I'm getting out of there. This fucker's about to explode. I gotta go. Right? Or diffuse it somehow. All she wanted was for me to hold her. And I get that now. I didn't get that then. Failing to see that then, dude, it destroyed everything I cared about. All she needed was to be held, really. She told me that once. She didn't tell me that all the time. She told it to me once, right? But she was angry a lot. And again, I couldn't show up for her. And that's when I say show up, what I mean is I couldn't be with her in her fullness, it was easy to be with her when she's happy, right? But when she was angry or upset or raging or whatever, she's a full spectrum woman. All women are. Most men just want the easy part, but then when we get the easy part, we get bored of them. We really want a woman that can express her fullness, but we're not taught that, right? So that's one of the biggest insights that I've ever had. And again, it breaks my heart over and over and over again because I saw how I couldn't love her in her fullness, and it fucking kills me because she was an amazing woman. And so it's almost like a lot of the work that I do is penance for my ignorance, for how I let this woman down and others, surely, because my capacity to love them was so narrow. And even as I'm telling you this story, it's like my heart breaks a little bit, but it's, it breaks open because I feel when I think about that and in the work that I do with men in particular, but definitely even in couples, that's all any of us want, is to be loved in our full expression. And that's one of the main gifts that a masculine person can give to their feminine partners, to be able to hold them even when they're exploding.
Because you're in so much pain, in a lot of cases, the only thing you could express would be pain. There's a lot of healing we have to do. I get that. I totally get that. But now, if you two are in a relationship and his capacity, him developing the capacity to breathe and hold you, we could do this actual exercise if we had more time, and you just rage on him, and you get, it's just energy that's stuck. And you didn't feel safe to share it with him because you knew he couldn't handle it. Most men can't. Most men are horrified of feminine rage.
But I didn't know. I had to learn. This is how I had to learn. I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn the way of not doing it and losing the most important woman in my life to date, the most important relationship I've ever had. I had to lose it. And look, I don't want to fully let her off the hook. She had her own maturing to do. She was very immature herself. She had her own work and her own blind spots, her own stuff.
One of the number one things that you can do with a masculine person is stop telling them what to do. Stop giving them direction.
How do you do feedback without saying, I feel when you do this?
Well, feedback's fine. But what I'm saying is there's a difference between feedback and criticism or direction. Feedback is, this is what I feel. Sure, when you do this is what I feel. Or, take driving. Try telling a man how to drive. It doesn't go over well, right? And it's not about telling a man how to drive. If a woman is driving and she's in her masculine and you tell her how to drive, she's gonna say fuck off. The masculine does not want to be told what to do. But let him figure it out. If you want to be the feminine partner, you've got to let your masculine partner solve the problem, figure it out. Otherwise, you're turning him into your little boy, you're turning him into your son or your girlfriend, which is okay, but most heterosexual women don't want a girlfriend. They want a man, and that means something.
And I love working with couples because I can see both sides and see what's going on and help them get awareness around what they're both doing so that they can do the dance together. But I also see how powerful I was and am. I could have fundamentally changed the dynamic of the relationship by just breathing and staying in my body and literally, sometimes just energetically holding her when she was in her pain.
Now, if you two were in a relationship and his capacity, him developing the capacity to breathe and hold you, we could do this actual exercise if we had more time, and you just rage on him, and you get, it's just energy that's stuck. And you didn't feel safe to share it with him because you knew he couldn't handle it. Most men can't. Most men are horrified of feminine rage.
And that's what I was never able to do. And most men can't do that with their partners. And everybody suffers as a result.
There's all kinds of ways that masculine energy decides, I'm not going to show up today because this is way too fucking hard. I can't figure it out. I'm going to go solve problems at work because it's easier. Or watch sports. I'm going to put on the football game because in 90 minutes I'll know if the problem was solved. But this marriage, fuck, when is that going to end? Right? So that's kind of the dynamic that happens to the masculine mind that doesn't know what's going on.
I married her eventually. I mean, I still had a lot of maturing to do myself, but I do. I mean, she was an exquisite woman. I think that